Many people feel a quiet sense of shame for having a small social circle, believing it's a personal failure, a sign that they are somehow unlikable or broken. Have you ever stood at the edge of a party, watching a group of people burst into laughter and felt a pang of profound otherness, as if you were watching a movie you weren't a part of? Or perhaps you've had friends, but in their company, you felt a strange and unsettling loneliness, a feeling that you were lonelier with them than you ever were on your own. Society, through movies, media, and social pressures, often frames friendship as a numbers game, where popularity is the ultimate prize and a full calendar is the measure of a successful life. But what if having a smaller circle isn't always a negative? What if, for a certain type of person, it's not a sign of failure, but a sign of a very different and very deliberate set of priorities? Now, it is absolutely essential to state that for many, having few friends is a source of genuine and significant pain. It can be deeply linked to challenges like social anxiety, clinical depression, or the lingering effects of past trauma. Those struggles are real, they are valid, and they deserve compassion, support, and professional help, not dismissal. That is a different and important conversation. This video, however, is about exploring another side of the story. It's for the person who has friends but feels drained by them, the person who can socialize but often chooses not to. We're going to look at 5 distinct and rare traits that might lead some people to consciously or unconsciously cultivate a smaller, deeper social world. This isn't about fixing a flaw. It's about understanding the unique psychology behind why some people are fundamentally built for depth, not for crowds. It's an invitation to see yourself not as lacking, but as specialized. The first trait, and perhaps the most foundational, is a powerful and deeply ingrained intolerance for the superficial. For you, small talk isn't just boring. It feels physically and emotionally draining. It's a social transaction that costs you a tremendous amount of energy, but offers no real connection or substance in return. While many people can effortlessly chat about the weather, weekend plans, or the latest celebrity gossip, these interactions can leave you feeling hollow, exhausted, and disconnected, like you're trying to speak a language that has no real meaning to you. You crave conversations that dive beneath the surface, that explore ideas, that touch on the messy, beautiful, and complex reality of what it means to think, feel, and grow as a human being. This indicates a profound preference for quality over quantity in all of your relationships. You're not trying to be an intellectual snob or dismissive of others. You're simply starved for substance in a world that often celebrates the shallow. You would rather have one 30-minute conversation about a book that changed someone's perspective or what truly drives a person than spend 3 hours at a loud party engaging in a series of performative social rituals that don't matter to you an hour later. You don't see the point in pretending to be interested when you're not. This mindset acts as a powerful automatic filter for your social life. The modern world often runs on speed, efficiency, and surface-level engagement. Your mind, however, may instinctively push back against this. It's as if you have an internal radar for inauthenticity. You can sense when people are putting on a mask, when a conversation is running on a pre-written script, or when someone is talking at you rather than with you. This can make it incredibly difficult to participate in the social games that form the very basis of many casual friendships. You notice the subtle energy shifts, the hidden intentions, and the lack of genuine presence that others might miss or ignore. As a result, you don't collect acquaintances. You don't network for the sake of it. You wait, patiently, for a genuine spark of connection, for someone who is willing to meet you in that deeper space. The second trait is a tendency to be far more observant and reflective than you are talkative. People who prefer smaller circles are often the quietest individuals in the room, but it's not necessarily because they're shy or have nothing to say. It's because they're busy doing something else, watching, listening, and processing the world around them with a heightened level of intensity. They're often skilled, active listeners, focusing their entire attention on a conversation and picking up on the nuances, the subtext, and the unspoken emotions that others completely miss. Think about the last social gathering you were at. While many people were caught up in the rapid-fire back and forth of group conversation, you might have found yourself stepping back, even just mentally. You were observing the group, dynamics, who leads the conversation, who interrupts, who truly listens, and who is just waiting for their turn to speak. You noticed the subtle flicker of disappointment in one person's eyes, or the forced enthusiasm in another's laugh. This isn't a passive state. It's a highly active and demanding mental process. Your brain is processing vast amounts of social data with incredible intensity, which is precisely why large groups can feel so overwhelming and utterly draining. You're not just in the room, you're analyzing it. This reflective nature also turns powerfully inward. People who are comfortable with smaller social circles are often highly introspective. For you, solitude isn't a punishment or a sign of being unwanted. It's a necessary and cherished state for recharging your batteries and making sense of the world. Research has shown that intentional solitude can lead to significant self-discovery and creativity, because being away from the constant storm of external input allows you to finally connect with your own thoughts, feelings, and intuition. This fosters a high level of self-awareness, which is a key component of emotional intelligence. Because you're so observant of others, you're also deeply, sometimes painfully aware of your own inner state. You know exactly what drains you, what energizes you, what feels authentic, and what feels like a betrayal of self. And with that knowledge, you are far less likely to compromise your own boundaries and inner peace just to fit in. The third trait is a strong, internally sourced sense of self-worth. It's absolutely crucial to approach this one with care and nuance. For many people, social isolation can unfortunately contribute to or stem from serious mental health challenges like depression or low self-esteem. That is a reality that must be acknowledged. However, for some people, a small circle is not the cause of low self-worth, but rather the result of having a self-worth that is not dependent on social validation in the first place. If this resonates with you, it means you can entertain yourself, solve your own problems, and find comfort and fulfillment within your own mind without needing a crowd to feel whole or valuable. Your confidence is built from the inside out, from your accomplishments, your integrity, your values, and your ability to navigate your own inner world. You don't rely on the number of likes, party invitations, or friends in your contact list to define who you are. This inner security is a quiet superpower in a world that constantly pressures us to seek external approval and measure our worth by outside metrics. You have your own internal anchor, so you aren't tossed about by the changing tides of social opinion. This quality makes you a fiercely independent thinker. You're not easily swayed by popular opinion or groupthink because your decisions are guided by a well-developed internal compass, not by a desperate desire to impress or belong. This authenticity can sometimes be intimidating or confusing to those who are more accustomed to relationships built on social convenience and mutual validation. You won't laugh at jokes you don't find funny. You won't agree with opinions you don't share just to keep the peace. You won't pretend to enjoy activities that drain your soul. This isn't a sign of coldness or arrogance. It is a profound form of self-respect. You've learned through experience that your inner peace is not worth sacrificing for the approval of someone who doesn't truly value you. You aren't looking for just anyone to fill a space in your life. You're looking for someone whose presence is genuinely better than your own cherished solitude. And because you are comfortable, content, and fulfilled on your own, That is a very, very high bar to clear. The fourth trait is a well-developed capacity for healthy emotional self-reliance. This is the ability to manage, process, and regulate your own feelings without immediately needing external support or distraction. It is vital to distinguish this from hyper-independence, which is often a trauma response rooted in a deep mistrust of others, a defensive belief that you cannot rely on anyone. Healthy self-reliance isn't about building walls and never needing anyone. It's about having a solid inner foundation, so you're not dependent on others to stabilize your inner world. When something goes wrong, a disappointment, a moment of anxiety, or a setback, your first instinct isn't to immediately call someone or vent. Instead, you turn inward first. You reflect, you process, you allow yourself to feel the emotion, and then you decide if and how you want to share it with others. This trait often develops in people who are highly attuned to their inner world, as we discussed with introspection. You've learned, through practice, to sit with your emotions, even the uncomfortable ones, and navigate them without being overwhelmed or needing to be rescued. This gives you a remarkable sense of inner strength and stability. However, this very same competence can quietly affect how you form social bonds. Many friendships are built and maintained on a foundation of mutual co-regulation and dependence. People bond by solving each other's crises. When others sense that you aren't reliant on them to feel okay, they may, consciously or not, feel unnecessary or even rebuffed. They don't know what role to play in your life if it isn't the fixer or the savior. Because of this, your process of building trust is slower, more deliberate, and more conscious. You don't attach quickly or merge your identity with others. You may appear private or reserved at first, but it's because you are carefully observing. Those who take the time to earn your trust discover your deep capacity for warmth and loyalty. The difference is that you choose your confidants with extreme care. You understand the profound weight of vulnerability, and you're looking for someone who can hold that sacred space with respect, not someone who will use it to feel needed. This self-reliance also means you don't fear solitude. You see it as an opportunity for peace and reflection, which in turn protects you from entering into or staying in relationships out of a fear of loneliness. The fifth and final trait is an uncompromisingly high standard for trust and authenticity. For you, friendship isn't casual. It's a sacred space, one built on a bedrock of integrity, mutual respect, and emotional safety. You don't just want friends to hang out with. You want a chosen family, a tribe of kindred spirits, and you are highly, even ruthlessly, selective about who you grant that title to. Your social energy is a finite and precious resource, and you refuse to invest it in relationships that are not built to last. This high standard for trust is often not something you were born with, but something you learned. It may have been shaped by past experiences, like a painful betrayal or learning the hard way what it costs to trust the wrong person. As a result, you might observe people for much longer than others do before you let them in. You watch carefully to see if someone's actions consistently align with their words. You test for sincerity, not out of suspicion or paranoia, but out of wisdom. You are a guardian of your own well-being, and you understand that trust is earned, not given away freely. This also means you have a near zero tolerance for drama, gossip, and manipulation. While many people claim to dislike drama, they often find themselves participating in it, drawn in by the energy or the sense of belonging it can create. You, on the other hand, instinctively step back. When chaos, negativity, or passive aggression enters the equation, you feel a visceral need to withdraw. Your desire for inner peace is far stronger than your desire for inclusion at any cost. This single boundary naturally filters out a huge portion of potential connections. Furthermore, your demand for authenticity is absolute. You need people to be unapologetically themselves, flaws and all, because you offer the same in return. You cannot and will not engage with relationships that feel like a performance. Your mind isn't just seeking connection, it's seeking truth. That's why for you, quality over quantity isn't a cliché. It's the core operating principle of your entire social life. You're on a lifelong search for those rare individuals who also value depth and have the courage to be authentic in a world that encourages conformity. Finding people like that, by its very nature, takes time. If you've recognized yourself in these traits, the low tolerance for superficiality, the observant and reflective nature, the internally sourced self-worth, the healthy emotional self-reliance, and the uncompromisingly high standards for trust, it might just mean that you are someone who prioritizes depth and authenticity in a way that naturally and logically leads to a smaller circle. These are not flaws. They are not signs of failure. They are signs of a mind that is wired for meaning, not for noise. If this video helped you see yourself with more clarity and compassion, consider subscribing for more psychological insights. And let me know in the comments which of these 5 traits resonated with you the most. You might be surprised to discover how many others are quietly walking the same path. So the next time you feel a pang of doubt about your small social circle, remember this. Some people are surrounded by friends, while others are simply surrounded by noise. You may have simply chosen clarity over chaos. It might just mean you're deeply committed to being real in a world that can often feel profoundly superficial, and you are too self-aware to settle for connections that don't feel true to your soul. Your depth is not a burden. It is your gift. Your standards are not too high. They are a form of self-respect. These are the very traits that ensure that when you do find your people, the connection will be real, it will be profound, and it will be lasting. You weren't built for the shallow end of the pool. You were built for the deep. Never apologize for that. Keep your peace, keep your standards high, and trust that the right people will find you, not because you're like everyone else, but precisely because you have had the courage to be yourself.